On this episode of You Might Think That This Video is a Paid Partnership, we have the now best car I have driven in the Philippines. A couple of videos ago, we took a look at the Zeekr 001, a fastback, shooting brake, fully electric vehicle that was quite simply amazing. But now this car right beside me is even better. Welcome to the 2026 Zeekr 7X in its performance all-wheel drive trim. And in this video, I'll show you why I think that this is the best car that I have driven here in the Philippines. So let's talk about the exterior of the Zeekr 7X first, and undeniably it looks very unique on the road. It looks very futuristic. However, I would also say that it's not the sharpest looking car out there, and that's for good reason, because design language wise they really wanted to make it very curvy, very kind of spaceship looking, and they have definitely succeeded over here. You have a clamshell hood which is right on top of this, what they call the Stargate front lighting package. This can display a bunch of LED diagrams and all that for an additional 99,000 pesos. Now, the Chinese version of this vehicle, you can actually put letters in there, so you can say happy birthday, you can put your name, but for the Philippine version, unfortunately not. Now, this vehicle also comes with so much sensors and cameras. It does have a semi-autonomous driving function, but anyway, enough of that. Let's talk about the side of the vehicle. This particular color, this is the shadow blue with the silver roof, and you can only get the silver roof with this color, and it looks quite stunning from the side. The 21-inch rims that you have here, these are absolutely massive. This is an 89,000 peso option. By default, you will have this vehicle with 20-inch rims, which personally, I think look actually better with this vehicle. Should you want blacked out 20-inch rims, you can also do that, but you can only get that for the Tech Gray and the Onyx Black version of this car. Now, the best part about this, for this particular lend out that we have, is the doors, because this comes also with what they call the Intelligent Automatic Door Package. So you simply press a button on this B-pillar and the doors will automatically open. The same thing does go for the rear doors too. And don't worry, it can detect if there are oncoming cars, it can detect if there's a dog on the ground, and it will not hit it. It simply is quite fascinating. I want to talk about the wheelbase of this vehicle, because while the car doesn't look too big, it actually has a wheelbase of 2,900 millimeters, making it even longer than a Toyota Land Cruiser's wheelbase, and only about 50 millimeters less compared to the wheelbase of a BMW X5. What does that mean? That means you have extreme space on the inside, which we will show you later. So a more important question that I'm sure that you guys would be asking, so what about in an emergency? What would happen? How do they open the doors? How do the firefighters open your doors? Well, don't worry, because there are still these physical handles over here which do not work on a normal basis. However, in the event of an accident, these will actually pop out, allowing those first responders to actually get to you and open your door for you manually. Now, this performance all-wheel drive trim also comes with rear privacy glass, and now we move on over towards charging. So you just open this port right here. It's also motorized, and in here you have a Type 2 AC port as well as a DC port CCS2. You have a 100 kilowatt hour battery with a claimed range of 543 kilometers on a single charge, but based on our test on a mix of city and highway, we're looking at 448 kilometers of range. Still not bad. But you know what isn't just not bad and is absolutely amazing? The acceleration time of this vehicle, which it's 0 to 100 kilometers per hour time, is only 3.8 seconds for a car this big. Power figures, 646 horsepower and 710 Newton meters of torque. Now let's go towards the rear right here. This glass has Zeekr on it. It's kind of etched into it, and you simply open up this tailgate by pressing a button hidden under this camera. And in here, you reveal tons of space. Now, you might ask me, what are these rails? Where you can actually put some sort of accessories for this one. Zeekr Philippines doesn't have them yet available for sale, but I don't know what they're gonna end up offering, but yeah, at least you do have that option. There is also a false floor right here, which has a huge cargo area. Look at that, I can fit an entire bag in there. And just in case your loading height is a little bit too high for you, this car is actually equipped with air suspension. So you have a button right here to just lower the rear of the car. That way, loading items would be a little bit easier. If space is still not enough, those rear seats can still also fold down 60/40. And there is also a center pass-through hatch. And once again, just in case space is still not enough, since it is an EV with no engine up front, you just have a frunk right here. So in most cars, frunks are extremely tiny. In this case, it is quite small, but still, it is more than enough to fit your V2L adapter, as well as a couple of tools and a tire repair kit, inflator. So yeah, a lot of storage in the Zeekr 7X. So now that we are inside the interior of the Zeekr 7X, first we check the door, but maybe we shouldn't because it has those power operated doors. And what's also nice about these doors, at least for the driver's side, you can actually simply step on the brake and watch it close by itself. I'm not touching anything.
Your phone is still in the vehicle.
Okay, all right, now that I'm in here, I have probably one of the most premium interiors in any automobile that I've ever tried. And I'm coming from the likes of, BMW i7s, Mercedes-Benz S-Classes, and this simply feels extremely premium. You get Napa leather all around the interior, but this is exclusive for this performance all-wheel drive variant. And you have a 21 speaker setup, and it's not really from any sort of brand. It just says Zeekr Sound Pro, but I guarantee you it sounds pretty good. The steering wheel is also wrapped in that same leather, and there's a two-tone effect to it, and everything just feels extremely supple in here. You have a 13-inch digital instrument cluster and a center 16-inch infotainment screen that is extremely responsive, comes with wireless Apple CarPlay, wireless Android Auto, and everything is controlled through here. It also gets a very clear reverse camera and 360-degree view camera. Now, one thing I'm not a big fan of in here would be the AC controls, because they're all in the screen, so you don't have physical buttons. And what makes it even worse, but also something a lot of electric cars nowadays do, the vents are actually controlled through the screen, which gets really annoying when you are driving, and there I may even say it's also quite distracting. But if you can get used to that, honestly, it doesn't really matter anymore. It took me a while to get used to it, but later on I kind of know how to use it. Now, this is also where you will adjust your air suspension height and your dampening modes all through the center screen. You have a beautiful ambient lighting set up, and you also get dual wireless charging pads here. Move this forward, you get two cup holders, and you have a very big and deep center cubby too, and this armrest even opens on both ends. Now, you might ask me, okay, what's with this interior? Why is it all white? Wouldn't that get dirty? Well, yeah, you're right. This is actually a 19,000 peso upgrade, and it looks absolutely stunning. But yes, this test unit is only about, I think, a week or two old, and it already is getting quite dirty. So yeah, it's up to you. If you like to go interior detailing a lot, then this interior is perfect and it looks really good. But if not, you can also get this car with an all-black interior for the tech gray and onyx black colors of the exterior, or you can get it in a black and gray combination for all of the other colors. Now let's go on over towards the seats, and you have a 14-way power adjustable seating setup for both the driver as well as the passenger, and the thigh support can even be adjusted. Of course, you also get memory functions for it, and they're just so wide, so sofa-like. I think it's about as wide as the seats that you would get with the Toyota Land Cruiser. Yeah, it's that good. And on the top too is one of the biggest panoramic sunroofs I've seen on any car. Safety-wise, you get 7 airbags in here, and you also get the full suite of advanced driver assistance system functions, including adaptive cruise control, autonomous emergency braking, lane keeping assist, and all of that. And just in case something bad happens too, there is an emergency mechanical door release hidden under this armrest on the side, and even an emergency window breaker. So you just remove a flap under here, and there's a latch you pull, and it will immediately break your window so you can escape from your vehicle in case you are, I don't know, sinking into the bottom of a river. Safety is the #1 priority. Now look at the vast expanse that is the rear seats of the Zeekr 7X. There just is so much room back here. And again, that is because this car has an extremely long wheelbase, so they were able to maximize the interior space. I'm talking too much, I should close the door first. So we just press this button, and of course it also closes electrically. So back here, these are probably one of the most comfortable seats that I've ever sat on. Again, I've sat in a lot of full-size luxury sedans costing upwards of 10 million pesos. Also rode in a Rolls Royce, and is it as good as a Rolls Royce? You know, it can be. it's really not bad back here. Now, the Chinese version of the Zeekr 7X even comes with like a footrest, like an ottoman function. Unfortunately, we don't get that for the Philippine version. Nonetheless, again, space is excellent, headroom is good. You even have like a power-operated sunshade on the side, just like a lot of its Volvo siblings. You have B-pillar mounted air vents. You have this center armrest with 2 cup holders and a USB-C port as well as a USB-A port over there. These seats can also electrically recline. There are hidden buttons here where my left hand is, and it really goes pretty far back. You can easily doze off back here. The foot space, the feet well, oh yeah, that's good too. So you can stick your feet under there and just lounge on about back here. Now, if you have pets or kids, there's even a hidden camera right here by the B-pillar for you to be able to see them as a driver or as the co-driver. And should you want to seat a third passenger back here, you can definitely do it too, because there is barely a transmission tunnel and the car is also really wide. And also, if you want additional amenities here, Zeekr Philippines will soon be offering, apparently, an optional refrigerator here by the center. That is pretty cool. Now, is this car an executive car? I would say so, because if you take a look at this panel right here, there even are controls to move the front passenger seat. Look at that. And once you do that, you have one of the biggest space in any car in the world. I simply love this vehicle so much. And since we've been talking so much about space and cubbies of the Zeekr 7X, well then, if you need to put some cash, some illegal things, or maybe even a firearm, well, there's also hidden cubbies inside this vehicle. So if you take a look down below, there's one over here, and there's another storage compartment over here. How clever. So now we drive the Zeekr 7X Performance, and since this has a 0 to 100 time of 3.8 seconds, obviously that's the first thing we should do. So I put everything, acceleration to sport mode, damping to sport, and steering to sport too, and we just mash the accelerator. There you go. It really does throw you back to your seat. And yes, I am quite confident that that 0 to 100 time is absolutely true, because it just is extremely quick in here. Now you think that, oh, how are you able to speak while you're accelerating that fast? Maybe it's a lot slower than it actually is. No. It's just that I'm kind of used to driving these fast cars nowadays. So yeah, for most people, it's going to take your breath away. And just because it is a quick car, and just because it's a big SUV, doesn't mean that it doesn't handle well, because surprisingly, for its size, it handles extremely well. It's not exactly the most fun car to drive. I do have to admit that the steering feel could be improved a little bit, because even if you put this in the sportiest setting for the steering, it does tighten up a lot, but it really lacks just, that extra bit of feedback for you to truly classify a car as very sporty. But nonetheless, it is more than fun enough. And usually cars that are fun, cars that handle well, they're not comfortable. But remember, this is a huge car with a very long wheelbase, and you even have air suspension. So as you go back into your screen and you put everything to the most comfortable setting, so you put it in comfort acceleration, comfort steering, as well as comfort damping, and then you put the air suspension height to the lowest setting, and what you have now is a very luxurious, premium, relaxing cruiser. I mean, you can barely feel the bumps with this vehicle. In a lot of cars with air suspension, for Philippine roads especially, my big issue with them is that after a big speed bump, the rear tends to crash. But for this one, it doesn't. The entire suspension, it's great for the driver. For some people, for some passengers, they might feel that it's a little bit floaty and wavy. In Tagalog, we call it like maalon. But it's really not that bad. It's not as bad as those cars with super soft suspension but no air suspension. Think the likes of like a Toyota Camry, which could be a little bit too soft. This one, I think it's tuned just perfectly. Now, one more thing I love about this is just how quiet it is. I mean, EVs have been very quiet nowadays, but even though they didn't really use like double pane glass for this vehicle, it still is a very quiet, refined ride. You could be going on the highway and it still is supremely quiet in here. You could be traveling at around 180 kilometers per hour and it still is very quiet in here. Don't ask me how I know. I do have to admit too, it's not as quiet as the Teslas, because the Teslas, they have been using double pane glass, but all other noise insulating materials that they could put in here, I'm pretty sure they did, because it really is a nice driving experience. It's also quite stable even at those speeds, by the way. So yeah, it's a win for the city. It's also a win for the highway. When you're at the highway too, you can really use a lot of the advanced driver assistance system functions. And yes, it's quite accurate. It's not super jerky, but inside the city, it leaves a little bit too much of a gap to the car in front of you, even to the nearest setting. So yeah, I would just use the lane keeping and adaptive cruise control for highway use. So aside from that too, this vehicle has a big brake kit. And the braking is really good. Despite the size and weight of this vehicle, it will really stop when you need it to. But for most of your driving needs, for most of your daily driving needs, there is a single pedal function which works really well. And you can also configure the regen braking from standard to strong depending on your preference. So this car, the Zeekr 7X Performance all-wheel drive, simply is amazing. It's comfortable, it has air suspension, it has automatic doors, it accelerates from 0 to 100 in 3.8 seconds. Of course, it has all-wheel drive, it has 646 horsepower. It simply is a beauty to look at. So I'm sure you're wondering, how much does it cost? Well, this car right here costs 10.5 million pesos, is what I'm sure you're expecting. But no! Guess what? It only starts at 2,999,000 pesos. Now, as tested, this lend-out unit that we have right here has a couple of options. But still, it is so much cheaper compared to a lot of the SUVs that you can get in the Philippines currently. It's so much better, and it just simply is perfect. I think this car is absolutely perfect. And it's so perfect that next week, I might actually order one already.